This is the Car Clinic, a Podaholics podcast with Glenn Power from Sand Dance Tyre and myself, James Pikeaway, for the next hour. Cars, and more cars. From the cars you want to drive to things you need to fix, there is nothing that Glenn can't tackle, and he does it on this show. Here we go. This is Car Clinic. Glenn, that car guy. Car Clinic. Yep. That's the show.
We're here.
It's as simple as that. So again, sorry, we were doing the We Will Fix It show with Dan and Colin, and we spent a good deal of time talking about Fiat 500s.
Oh, good Lord.
And I was in a little bit of shock because they use Fiat 500s over there.
Managers, yeah.
And I wondered why Fiat 500s, and of all things. And they said, they're reliable, they're kind of cool looking, they take a wrap easy.
Cheap to wrap.
But
they are... It's a brand image, right? That's why they use the transporter vans. There's no better looking van out there.
Yeah.
For a European.
Yeah.
For a European, I think Americans would probably say an E250 any day. But or an Astro or something. But certainly...
Yeah,
it's brand image.
No, and I think for sure when I look at those transporter vans, yeah, that is their thing. But the Fiat 500s, I didn't get. I mean, I really...
It's chalk and cheese with a Volkswagen to a Fiat.
Well, that's the thing. I thought, why aren't you riding around in Golfs? Why? I mean, it just makes a lot more sense to me. Even polos. Get the guys in polos, and at least you're in the brand neighborhood.
Yeah.
So I didn't know. And then I thought they're saying, they're economical to run and they're easy to repair. And I'm thinking a Yaris is probably more economical than a Fiat 500.
Yeah, but then, a High Ace is probably more economical to repair than T5.
Yeah, but do they hold as much junk?
It's not the same.
No,
exactly.
But Fiat 500. I mean, nothing against Fiats. But.
Well, look, I mean, I basically met Colin and Dan because I'd seen the vans going around and that's my background. And like I've said before, we used to fight over the rights to service the vans when they came in. Because I was in the passenger vehicle section, not in the commercial vehicle section. And then that was the other side of the big city. There was a city between us and the commercial vehicles.
All right.
So we were in quite a, for the UK, by UK standards, quite a large town. So
so what's quite a large town by UK standards?
I don't know population size, but
like
I mean...
40,000, 30,000?
You'd probably call it a village in anywhere else in the world. But so we used to get, obviously, people that were self-employed or working for companies that had vans in our town that would come to us. And the brand allowed us to do it. So we used to fight over them because they're easy to work on. And when I realised that, you can look after the vans for us, that included the Fiats as well, I was like, oh, no.
Yeah.
But to be fair, we see them for service. There's nothing other than the transmission. So they've got
That's pretty good.
Yeah, they've got this, it's a manual transmission, but the clutch is operated electronically, hydraulically by a control unit. So there's still a clutch and there's still all the usual regular manual transmission, but you don't have a pedal to press. The transmission control unit and the engine control unit work that one out for you.
That's weird.
Yeah.
So I just like fire it into gear. So I go first to second to third with no clutch.
Yeah.
That's weird.
So you don't have a gear, you don't have a shifter. So you still put it into, they're not
drive.
like the PRND like you have.
Well, why do I want that then? It seems kind of, so I don't even get to shift it, but it's a manual transmission.
Yeah. There's flappy paddles, which sometimes work.
Who designed this? Why would I want that?
Tell me. I mean, it's not the worst one in the market. I mean, the worst one I find for that is the SMG on the BMW.
Oh, okay.
But you only get that on the sporty stuff on the M's, and if you like it, you like it. But it's so harsh.
Okay.
So harsh, but
these Fiats, though, aside from that little transmission issue, otherwise they run like a dream.
Yeah, pretty good. Yeah, I think that they maintain them well, and it pays off for them, and they're relatively easy for them to come by.
I thought they were pretty sporty, actually. I was looking at one version that I saw today, and it had red brake calipers on it, and I thought, whoa.
They do a 100 horsepower version, which in a car like
that's flying. Yeah. I mean, those things are light.
Yeah, so good.
Yeah, well, there you go. So, what's going on in the shop these days? What do you got coming in? I was sitting in the garage, in the driveway of your shop today, piggybacking off your internet, and I did notice you had another Mercedes SL 450 convertible. It might have been. I didn't look at the back.
Same customer, different one.
Now that one that was sitting there. That's my love.
Nice car.
I would own one of those in a heartbeat. If someone said, James, you're going to have to drop down some money, but here's the car. And that color, even, I'll take it. That's
actually, we've got the bumpers off and the overriders to do chrome on. So we're re-chroming those. Not us. We're not doing that in-house. That's over in Jeddah.
Okay.
We do it all in Jeddah because the marine stuff's really hard wearing.
Oh, okay.
It's a lot better than anything else I've found.
They dip it, right? Do they chrome
it?
Yeah,
so it's plated by dipping it, yeah. So they'll strip it all back to the bare metal. And then they'll replate it. It's going to take about a week.
Wow.
So I've got maybe 3 or 4 more days left till I pick that up.
Yeah. Well,
but it's going to look good, yeah. That's
a sweet looking ride.
Yeah, and that's the one he uses. So he's put a new dashboard in it and everything else.
What year's that thing?
85.
Oh, you see, that's the year. Yeah. That is the year, and I think 1985. I'd just love to stick it. Keep us stuck in 85. Music, vehicles, it all worked for me.
Yeah. So he sort of trades in them, I suppose, more for a love of the car than a love of making money off of them because they're very hard to do that.
Yeah.
But
nice engine in those things.
That's the one. They're all right. Yeah. They're all right. Parts are difficult. Sometimes, but a lot of it can be repaired. You don't have to. It was just on the cusp of the throwaway stuff.
All right,
just got to the where like Mercedes were always ahead of everything.
Yeah,
right? And I was a Volkswagen guy. I can say that, but they're ahead of everything when it comes to tech. When an S class or an E class comes out, the world stops.
Yeah,
let's see what my car's going to have on it in 10 years' time. That kind of thing, isn't it? But so yeah, they were just in that sort of point of fuel injection and electronic control and everything. Yeah. So it became throwaway after that, changed apart. But these are just about, you can repair most things. Yeah.
The one thing on those vehicles that always just made me scratch my head was, and you look at it now, the driver's seat and the passenger seat. It's like they didn't really design them. In fact, it's kind of like we want to be a bench, but we're not.
Yeah.
But what are you thinking here? And then when you see doctors' waiting room seats from the mid 80s, and you kind of look at the seats in the Mercedes, and then you go back and you say, I get it.
Same color as well.
Same color, same everything. It's just, no, those seats, you can have, 100,000 bums sit in them, and they're still pristine, but they're terrible.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, it's one of those. It's design and function.
Yeah, it's completely design and function.
They forgot about the aesthetic value.
Yeah, there's zero, but I mean, they're great. I mean, but I still love it.
Original seat.
Yeah,
still the original, probably the original leather as well.
See, I need to get to know this guy because who knows? Who knows? You might find some more of these lying around. It's like, hey, James, I got one for you.
He's always got them. Yeah. We've had 3 in the last couple of weeks.
Really?
Yeah. One went to France.
Okay.
So yeah, it was good.
Do they sell for a lot? Like, are these expensive cars? If I want,
I think they get more in Europe.
Okay.
Than here.
So what are we talking, do you think? What ballpark figure?
I wouldn't know. I try not to get involved with it. So you know what, right? In our trade, as soon as you start talking about money,
don't you don't want to go down there.
It's like,
I'm just curious. Are we talking? I think we're talking like $50,000. I'm gonna have to fork out, or more than that for one of these.
I think you'd pay that sort of money for one of those.
Okay,
I think.
Right.
I think I don't see why not.
Then of course it's gonna need repairs.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, most of these are barn finds.
Yeah,
most of them are. Or somebody's started to collect them and forgets they've got them, or the parents left them, or grandparents left them to them, and
they go, I don't want this thing anymore.
I don't want to drive that.
Yeah, I think it's ugly.
Yeah, so
but
it is
what
a matter of taste.
Yeah,
and I do get it. I do get it, especially when the roofs are down.
But beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, this was that other side. I've got a great conversation actually. Someone's a friend of mine is thinking of heading down the Porsche Boxster route.
Nice.
Buying a new one. Let's get a new one. I'd say, whoa, cool. That's a nice machine. But they drive a Mini right now.
Wow.
And I know. And it's sort of the Porsche Boxster is the aspirational vehicle.
Okay.
Always wanted to have one. And sort of talking that, I just want to get one.
Yeah.
And I'm going, we're in the Mini, and it's, it's a works model. So
wow.
Yeah. So and I'm in the back seat, and I'm going, not doing this in a Porsche.
Nope.
And, I'm 5'11", and I'm in the back seat, and I get the short people in the front, but they're, they're not hugging the dash either. And it was comfortable in the back seat.
Yeah.
And they put the thing on sport mode. She put it in sport mode and, put the pedal to the firewall. And it got up and go.
Yeah, they really do move. Yeah.
And I'm kind of going, do you like your car? Oh yeah, I love my car. and you want a Porsche. Why? And it's one of those things. It's because I've always wanted a Porsche.
Yeah.
Well, and the Boxster works, and I'm going, it's 2-seater though.
Yeah.
So, and the response was, well, if people want to come with me, then they take a cab. And I'm going, yeah, all right, get you there too, but
yeah, I mean, look, it's for a John Cooper Works Mini to a Porsche Boxster. Performance-wise, there's not going to be a crazy difference.
Yeah.
No, I mean the Boxster will handle slightly better. The Mini handles well, but it's so short.
Yeah.
So
now my big question was repair-wise, cost of a service in a Porsche and a Works Mini. They can't be comparable. Like, really?
They're not far off.
Oh, really?
Whoa. They're not far off.
Wow. Yeah. So I would have thought the Mini would be pretty...
Porsche's more expensive, but not by much.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, not by that much. The biggest problem for the Mini in repair cost is the fact that they've crammed that engine into the size of the car.
Yeah. And it's a big engine in there.
Everything is a big job. Yeah. To change a drive belt tension or something, for instance, you've got to lower the engine down, and you're not fully taking it out, but everything's a bit of a task.
I didn't realize that. I wasn't even thinking that way.
I mean, the Boxster will still be more expensive.
Yeah. But I know, I just kind of looked at the two and I said, my thought was, maybe you just want a Mini convertible. Yeah. And this one isn't a convertible. I'm just thinking, maybe you just want to stay with what you love and get the convertible. Now, so then there's a third element. And I know last week we were talking Jaguar. And I know we didn't exactly have a lot of kind words to say for Jaguar.
Yeah, it wasn't best. They're not going to use it on the marketing campaign, put it that way.
So today I'm driving in, and I'm on Hesse.
Yeah.
And I'm beside a Jaguar F-Pace, must have been.
The big one.
Convertible? Maybe it's not. It was
convertible XK.
No, I'm sure it was a little sporty thing.
F-Type.
Yeah, that was an F-Type. That's it. Yeah, F-Type. Sorry, not Pace. I mean, I'm getting
F-Type.
It was an F-Type.
Okay.
And I'm driving beside this F-Type, and I'm going, sweet.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, I'm looking at it, and I'm going, Porsche or F-Type, and I'm thinking, Mini. Yeah. Or F-Type. And I'm looking at this F-Type, and I know I had complaints about the styling and that. This thing had the roof down.
Yeah.
The guy who was driving it was smiling.
Yeah.
It sounded exquisite. It looked really good.
Yeah.
And I'm going, that might be a viable option.
Yeah, well, like we said, look, especially if you get the supercharged 5 litre.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, but from outside, exterior-wise, they do the job. But I think our critique last week and mine from driving them is inside. You get inside that and then get inside a Boxster, which don't forget, the Boxster is the entry-level Porsche for that body style. You get in the Boxster and get in the F-Type, and there's no comparison.
It's chalk and cheese.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the Boxster's finished well. The plastics aren't hard. They're not smooth. They're not. They're just well finished. And the F-Type just isn't. And that's the problem that I had with it. They should have really gone to town on that. I mean,
maybe the next gen will be.
Yeah, I mean, you get in an E-Type. You get in an E-Type, and it's like, all those years ago when things were made by hand, of course. So they always is going to be naturally a better finish, and it's before the whole plastic revolution and that. Yeah. But surely they should have some aspiration to say, well, I want that panel to be, if it's carbon fibre, it's genuine, not look-alike.
Yeah.
If it's wood, I want it to be wood. If the steering wheel's leather, I want it hand-stitched.
Right.
That sort of stuff. And they just haven't, they've got this big, ugly air vent thing that comes out of the dashboard when you turn the AC on. But, we gave them a hard time last week. And there's nothing, I mean, don't get me wrong, I love driving them.
Yeah.
From a pure...
It looked beautiful.
Yeah.
It really, and I thought price range.
Yeah, my stepdad's a big Jag guy.
Well, then I thought, and again, for my friend, maybe it's the Porsche is that aspirational badge. But I said, the Jag has got a really nice looking grille, and it's got a really nice badge on the back. I mean, it's a Jag.
I think if you got in both of them, I can't see anybody choosing the inside of an F-Type over a Porsche. I really can't.
So the other one that I was reading about was, as soon as I looked at this, now limited run, they're only making 750 units, but this is the 2019 Mercedes AMG GT-R Roadster.
Yep.
And I mean, this vehicle, I think we're talking $170,000, but But let's face it, I'm looking at this machine and I'm going, wow.
Yeah.
No, they're only making 750, but I mean, some of the stuff they were talking about on it, I mean, convertible, it looks absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
But it's got the, it has the road, it gets the aircraft system, which blows warm air on your neck when you've got the roof down so you don't get a chill when it's cold. And I'm thinking,
just pull the roof up. That's what I'm thinking.
I know, because you're thinking aerodynamics and you don't want to go anywhere near it, but I'm thinking, what a great feature.
No, the problem I'm thinking is that I can't get in a convertible because I'm going to have to look over the screen.
Right. Well, and I saw someone who was in a Mazda a couple weeks ago, who I was thinking of you because he was looking over the windscreen. I'm going, how does that guy drive this thing?
I'd be getting the warm air in lumber. So no, I mean the GT, the AMG GT is great.
As a convertible. I mean, and 750 units worldwide. I mean, what a nice.
But the best thing about that is it makes it exclusive. This is one of the things we were saying with Jaguar, right?
Yeah.
Don't be scared. It's almost like and they were doing it before when they started signing up with when they agreed with Ford and everything, but they almost got everyone got sort of ashamed when the financial crash happened in 2008.
Yeah.
You know, you're hearing all this. You know, you can't be seen driving a big flash car and all that because everyone else is struggling, and you know the bankers have put us in this position and blah blah blah. So it's almost as though Jaguar jumped on that and thought, let's try and be an everyman. But there's nothing wrong with being a prestige mark.
That's it.
Nothing wrong at all, especially these days. You know that we're all, these cars are going by the wayside.
Yeah.
And the way things are going now with basically ride sharing, everyone thinks the future is going to be
electric or whatever. I think
the future is a hydrogen car or whatever you do.
No, the future is ride sharing.
But people are going to just have a vehicle. Yeah. And 5 or 6 of you are going to be using it throughout the day, and it's going to come to you autonomously and take you home and then go and pick the next person
and
up.
Why wouldn't you love that? It's always new. It's always clean. It's always fixed. I don't have to think tires. I don't have to think tune-ups. I just have to think, where is this thing on my app? And I can choose the car. Yeah. Oh, today I need an SUV. Oh, today I need the smallest thing on the market. Oh, today I need a van.
It's definitely coming.
Boom.
That's one of those things where, it's definitely going to happen, because you look how many of the e-car we see flying around in Dubai. I mean, they've just changed the livery to sky blue.
Yeah.
That's actually not a wrap, by the way. That's peelable paint.
Oh,
that's nice. Peelable paint.
Peelable paint.
Yeah.
How do I get that?
So I know the guy that developed the product that they used.
Yeah.
He came and did a demo for me. We actually had an Audi A6 in that we were changing the doors because it was an accident repair.
Yeah.
So we'd straighten one of the old doors out for him and just the skin, and he came and gave us the demo, and it works.
Expensive?
More so than the normal paint.
But you peel it off.
But then you peel it away and you're done. And it doesn't damage the paint that's underneath,
really,
like a wrap potentially can.
Yeah, wraps can be dangerous.
So
clear coat's gone.
Yeah, so it's
ooh, interesting.
Yeah, so but the point I was making is how many of those we see flying around. People share cars.
Well,
I saw a Mustang.
Yeah,
they got a Mustang. The e-car,
really,
the car share's got a Mustang.
See, this is the thing why I'm thinking this e-share could really be awesome. You got family coming in.
Yeah.
And you're driving around in your Yaris.
Yeah.
And then you realize, hey, I've got family coming in. I've got older parents. I need a van.
Yeah.
Or I need to be able to fit 7 people. I need a bigger vehicle. Yeah. Or I just need a car that I'm going to be doing a little bit different driving in.
Yeah.
And you get choice. And what if you just want to drive something else? Well, who gets tired of the car they own?
Go on your app, see where the nearest one is.
Yeah.
So,
hey, we'll want to give this
easy.
a try.
Yeah.
Let's do this.
I think it's going to happen that way, and I think manufacturers really need to make the most of, because I think an individually owned car is going to become a luxury.
Yeah.
It kind of already is.
It's already going that way.
But I think it's going to definitely become that.
And you really notice it when we start hearing fuel prices. And what did you notice when our prices were up for a good year?
Yeah.
They were starting to skyrocket, and they've come down a little bit, but they'll go back up.
Yeah, well, when the last visitors we had here said to me, man, there's a lot of smaller cars on the road than last time we were here.
Yeah.
And that's once a year, so they were here last year and didn't say it.
Yeah, and instantly that's what we start noticing, and then to the point where suddenly, I mean, it's funny because I've been in the UAE long enough that the bus transportation and now the metro transportation has really taken off, and all sorts of other varieties. And in Silicon Oasis, they have the scooter rentals now. Those ones that are just sitting on the curb and you need the app, they have them. And so now all the transportation options are opening up. The bike rentals in Old Town.
Yeah.
All these transportation options are opening. There's less need to have a car. As soon as they hit the critical mass of being able to get, having bus lanes and all these things so that I can get from Murdiff to Academic City on a bus. If I could do that and it was reliable and I knew that it was going to be there in XYZ minutes instead of, not, are we going to get caught in this traffic or what about this? If I knew that, if I knew that I could get home at, when I leave the office at 4:30, that, I can catch that bus. I'm going to be able to at the stop and they're running every half hour and it's going to hit there and it was going to be reliable. Are you kidding? Why would I drive?
Yeah.
I'd be at the bus at the drop of a hat because I don't have to do fuel. I can be on the Wi-Fi. I can have a nap. I can read a book. It
took me 10 minutes to find a space to park today.
Really?
That's one thing you don't have to do with the bus.
Yeah. You just get off and you walk over. You probably saw where I was parked. I had to walk anyway from across the road and over. Bus stop, I would have gotten off. Yeah. In fact, the bus stop was closer to the crosswalk than where I got off.
That's it. It's happening. How many rental car companies are there now?
Yeah.
That's just one indication for me that people and it's going to happen here. It's going to happen in our region first, I think, just because of the transient nature.
Well, there's an opportunity to try it out. You can experiment with it.
Yeah, and people tend to come here and they say, I've got a couple of years and they'll do it. So they don't want to buy a car in the first 12 months, they'll rent. Yeah. So I think it's definitely going to happen here.
In fact, I know people who are short timers who bought cars. I just can't figure out why would they buy a car. Like, why would you buy a car? You're gonna have to get rid of it. Yeah. Speaking of that, I had a guy come up to me yesterday who I've known for a long time and who's moving home, unfortunately, and just sold his car, and he went the Dubizzle route.
Okay,
but he used the Dubizzle sales option,
like the expat wheels thing.
Yeah, I guess, and so it's all done through Dubizzle, and they do everything.
Yeah.
And they, they got him the price he wanted. He didn't have no phone calls. He didn't have to do anything.
Yeah.
He said, this was awesome. And I said, what was the price? It probably cost me about 2,000 dirhams to use their service, but it is done.
Yeah.
And I'm going, that's not bad.
Fair play.
Yeah. He said, so without a doubt, this was the best way to sell his car.
Yeah. It's easy. Right? You can get someone to do everything for you here.
Yeah. And I'm thinking, if you've ever sold a car, that people come, they kick the tires, they lowball you. In fact, he got burned the time before because he waited to sell. It got really close to the time he was leaving. He's a returner. I wonder if there's a title for that. Maybe I just gave it to him. And anyway, he came back. He's been here for another about 5 or 7 years this time around. But when he left the first time, sold his car, and then he got lowballed because he waited so long, and everyone knew, well, you got to go.
Yeah.
So,
well, now they're selling a car when that happens, isn't it?
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Will you cash any car, and will you buy any car, and all that.
Yeah, and all that. So I just thought this Dubizzle idea, cool, and there's more options doing that. So I think it's kind of neat.
Yeah, it's a good service. The guys that started that up started it, and then Dubizzle obviously swallowed them up. But great idea.
Yeah.
They're just based out in the RTA building.
There you go. It's easy.
So nice and easy.
Yeah. Simple. It's done. It's sorted.
Yeah.
We got a few questions. One of them's got to do with windshield wipers, and
Can't tell it's been raining twice.
It's squeaky windshield wiper arms, so not the actual wipers going across your screen. Not a very good Foley artist today, but that I don't know if it's the squeak on the arms when they're hearing a or if they're hearing a clunk 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 clunk, but either way they're getting noise from those windshield wiper arms.
Yeah, it's most likely going to be the mechanism. So you're going to want to have a look and clean it and grease it before it sticks, because the motor is powerful enough to break them. They will break.
Okay.
And if it doesn't break the linkage, it'll slip on the motor, and then you need to change the motor as well.
So the linkage part is the piece that coordinates both of the wiper arms turning.
Yeah. So on most cars, not all, but on most cars, you have one motor that will turn two arms. So there's a linkage normally with basically aluminium components, just nice and lightweight, but they can break quite easily.
I saw one on a car once, plastic.
Oh dear.
Yeah, I know. It's like, really?
Oh dear. What was that? Something from France?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
It's like, really? But that linkage part, I always figure that could be problematic, and that could be a noise generator.
Yeah, we see them break. Actually, the few I've seen broken, sorry to do this, James, were on Wranglers.
Really?
Yeah.
Mine broke on mine years ago.
Yeah.
And it was kind of hilarious because they just refabricated one.
Yeah, well, that's the other
at a better
thing.
price than I was going to buy one at.
Exactly, yeah. So they are relatively straightforward. So you can sometimes MacGyver one if you need to.
Yeah.
But they don't tend to be too expensive unless you have to buy the whole assembly.
Right.
That's when you've got a problem.
And I'm wondering, new cars, probably it's all attached.
Oh yeah, it'll be attached to the airbags and the windscreen, and it costs you like 68,000.
Are those motors though? Are they easy to service? And especially here. I mean, although it's funny because people say, "Oh, you don't use your windshield wipers." I say, "Are you kidding? I use them all the time. I'm always cleaning dust off my windscreen, so they do get used, but not like on a rainy day."
No, and that's probably what most of the wear, for want of a better word, comes from, because they're not used as often as they perhaps should be, and then they get dust on them, and these connections and linkages are lubricated, but then the dust goes in there and it starts to grind it away. And so they do.
They're pretty exposed actually when you think about it.
Well, yeah, they have to be by their nature because they tend to be next to where the fresh air goes in for the AC.
Yeah. So there you go.
Yeah.
A little WD-40 on one of those?
Yeah, that's how I do it. And if you do it regularly enough, you'll have no issues. But you can get PTFE grease.
Okay.
So if you can get that on in there, so that's the WD-40 will obviously just it'll do well to penetrate and clean, but it's not going to stick around for very long. But if you can get PTFE grease or even graphite grease, that's good.
Those things fire out of a can too?
Yeah, PTFE white grease you can get out of a can. Yeah.
Just fire it in there.
Yeah,
I got to get some of that stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Probably get it in Speedex, maybe even Ace.
Yeah, all right. I'll go check it out.
Yeah.
Easy. I think actually one of the graphite grease is the one that Colin's always talked about. He's a graphite grease. I think he must have shares in the company because he's just graphite grease everything.
Graphite's great. Graphite's brilliant. I remember we used to sit in chemistry because the first time we learned about the fact that graphite could be a lubricant was in chemistry, and we would sit there and colour in the bottom of our school shoes, and then just slide around on the wooden varnished floors.
That's a great idea. That's the precursor to Heelys.
Bunsen burners, setting everyone on fire with them, and everything was great. Yeah, we paid a lot of attention. Yeah.
Hey, that's you're back to the Healy thing. You kids hear about this. It won't be long. You got one baby, but that's okay. Your older child, she's going to be putting the graphite grease on the bottom of the shoes. It's coming. It's coming.
No.
Healy days. I saw a bunch of kids the other day with Heelys. I thought those things were gone.
Unless I get 100% health insurance, I ain't doing that. If I go back home to the good old NHS, then we can have as many Heelys as she wants. But not a chance.
You wait. She's going to be going through the toolkit. Oh, grease. Here we go. Here's all I need.
My eldest struggles to walk without falling over, so the last thing I need is to be on wheels.
I got another one here. So someone's having issues with their car boot, and it doesn't want to close easily. It doesn't close softly.
So it slams down.
I guess it sounds like they have to slam it.
Yeah, it's probably the supports that start to fail. So
okay.
People realise that obviously the supports hold them up.
Yeah.
But then they allow the control of it closing. It's probably getting sort of beyond its critical point, and then you can't deal with the weight.
I don't know what they used to be like in 1985, but now, because that's now my target date, 85 for those Mercedes. Which Mercedes is that, by the way? That's the SL 450.
That was it the blue one you saw, the gold one? So the blue one is a 500.
Ooh, SL 500. That's it. That's my aspiration right there. SL 500. 85. I wonder what the mechanism was in the boot for that thing. But I just think when I look at this, we don't know what age this vehicle is.
Yeah.
But if it's a modern one, or within the last 5 years, it just seems so cheap. Like the shocks or whatever that thing is that they're using to raise it up and then you close it down. They just look chintzy to me.
Yeah. Well, some of them. I mean, we've seen them under our bonnets first. Most people. You used to the under your bonnet. They were where and that sort of size is available for the rears on some of them, but such as like the Touareg platform, so the Cayenne, the Q7, they have really heavy duty ones. Like they're almost the same size as a strut you would get on a motorbike.
Is that like overspec'd on these things? Do you think?
It's just a big heavy back door, and then the glass opens on them as well, so there's more moving parts and everything. So there's 4 on the back of those, and you're talking 2,000 dirhams to get genuine parts replaced.
Whoa!
Yeah. I did last Thursday. We did the set actually for a friend of my wife. Yeah,
all 4 of them.
Yeah, and it was 1,900.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
But if you don't, it's a lot of money. But if they're not working, your life's miserable.
Well, ours weren't working on the Touareg.
Yeah.
Try and get a pushchair in and out of there with a baby in your arms.
Holding one up, chair coming in.
It's all right for me.
The baby's making a run for it.
It's all right for me because I can, it sort of rests on my head.
Yeah.
So I can just stand there as the stay and then my wife can go around and work around me. But when she's on her own, she can't.
You got any pictures of that?
No.
Got any video?
No, I should have done.
Drats.
No, but a lot of the new stuff was electric now.
Yeah.
So,
well, see, that always worries me. As soon as you start talking electric, it's like, no, I'm not going anywhere near that because I'm now like, I'm just paranoid that that's all the conversation we just had with windshield wiper motors. Dust gets in there, it needs to be lubricated, and then it goes. It's $2,000 to replace 4 of these struts for manual lifting. What's it going to cost to replace the motor? Yeah, exactly. Forget it.
Yeah, it's just the way things are going now.
I know, but that's thousands.
Car companies assume that everybody's walking to the car with 7 bags of shopping in each hand, and they've got a smart key. They want to wave their foot under the boot and it open on its own.
Yeah, and I think they're assuming that I'm not going to hold on to this car beyond the 3-year warranty, that they're fixing everything, and that everyone gets rid of their car and gets a new one because they want me to get a new one. Yeah. And they're just saying, well, we only guarantee it for 3 years, so after 3 years, you're on your own.
Used to get problems with people not knowing how to so on the automatic opening ones, especially on like a hatchback type, on a Cayenne or something like that, where you say you live in an underground parking, you haven't got much headspace. Well, you don't want it to open all the way, so you have to show people how to set the height and limit it. Otherwise, you're going to end up with it smashed up against the ceiling.
Yeah, so, paint's gone.
Yeah, so
a little bit of cursing. It's like,
there's a lot to consider, and those ones that are electronic, because they've got extra stuff there, basically. They're so heavy when they fail. So heavy when
you're
they fail.
You're done for.
Yeah. So
I didn't want to imagine what it would cost to replace that. I mean, it just
depends on the car. Depends on the type it is as well. I mean, don't forget
100 dirhams.
No.
There we go. No. So we're already outside my price range.
So your price range is 100 dirhams, and you want something from 1985.
Yeah, so, it's like basically I'm not getting anything from 85
not adjusted for inflation either.
No. So that's the thing. You own an old car. You want to live close to a wrecker so that at least you can go walking around the grocery store there and seeing what they've got in the candy shop.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there's nothing quite like the realization somebody has when they come to this part of the world and there's anything and everything you can think of in terms of a car to buy.
Yeah.
It's a great opportunity to have it. Fuel's relatively cheap compared to my home country. I'm on a decent salary compared to my home country. Let's go for it. And they'll buy something and they'll say, oh, yeah. And then, you have to explain to them when that car was made, it was worth 150,000 dirhams. It's now worth 15,000 dirhams, but the parts are more expensive than when it was made.
Yeah.
Because the parts still cost the same to make.
Yeah.
There's inflation. So now a part that would perhaps have been 1% of the value of the car is now 50% of the value of the car.
Exactly.
And that's just the way it is. There's an interesting conversation I have with customers all the time about this is needed on the car.
Yeah.
So I've decided to check the rest of the car and tell you whether it's going to be worth fixing it. And they'll say, well, why? I say, well, because this is X amount of money and it's going to be like 10% or 50% or 100% or more than the value of the car. The amount of times cars come to me that we repair and the bill is more than the car is worth.
Those people must just fall on their knees and say, you can't be serious.
Yeah, obviously, they approve it before we do it.
Right, but still.
It is what it is.
But if it's your love, I mean, so is the vehicle your passion or is the vehicle a transportation mechanism?
Yeah.
And if it's a transportation mechanism, well, who wants to do that?
Well, exactly. This is again back to what we were talking about. People are going to start ride sharing.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Well, and then you can get there. So I was listening to something out of the U.S. and it was, I don't know, GM or one of these car companies had a leasing scheme where you changed your car every month.
Porsche do it.
And so in this context, people were driving around in the brand new vehicles that they would never be able to afford, but because of the way the scheme worked, like you were saying, like Porsche. What a cool idea!
I think there's a range of it depending on what cars you can have and how often you change. But I think something like $3,000 US dollars, you get a brand new car.
What a cool idea!
Just keep changing it every month or 2 or 3 or whatever.
Yeah,
great idea.
And it's just you get to try something new, get to try something you like, get to try something you might not like.
How many of those people are telling their neighbours, it's their car though.
Oh, I would be. I'd say, yeah, it's mine. Oh, you change your car a lot. You say, well, you do what those who can do.
Yeah, I always remember I always remember when I'd not been here all that long, and there was I lived in apartments in Albarcia, and there was a guy who was obviously hiring a car, and it was a high-end Mercedes, nice, very well spec'd, and he was peeling the Enterprise badge out of the back window because he didn't want anyone to know it was a rental. So
the one that always drives me nuts is the folks who buy the new car and then they leave the sticker with all of the stats on the side.
Even the shipping barcode.
I've seen some of those on the front, and I'm thinking, is that a new car? I saw one the other day. It was a Land Cruiser. I don't know who was driving it, but this sticker was there.
Yeah,
and this wasn't a new car.
No.
Like, it was peeling.
Yeah,
but they left it on.
Yeah.
Why?
We used to have our PDI, so pre-delivery inspection would then, once we'd done it in the workshop, we'd send it into the prep bay, the valet bay, detailing bay, whatever you'd call it.
Yeah.
And then those guys would take all the stickers off, the paint protection, everything off.
The little blue things on the doors.
Make it ready for the customer. And they get marked down if they left anything on there. I mean, it was a challenge, and we used to enjoy doing it. And I'm still very close friends to one of the guys that was in the valet bay. He's still there, actually. I used to hide them. So we'd pull them off and hide them somewhere else in the car to see if he couldn't find them, because he'd get marked down on it and get a negative score if the salesman found it or the customer found it. Yeah. And I used to hate it because Volkswagen went for, they were always blue. So we've all seen the blue ones on the edge of the door.
Yeah.
But they went to black.
Oh.
So one of the factories must have just been using black. So they were hard to find on the interior.
For sure. They could be anywhere.
Good, and then you'd get one car, and if sort of March and September for the new registrations in the UK. So February and March, and then August and September were just so busy with pre-delivery inspections.
Yeah,
we'd be doing overtime and everything. So like, at some points you'd have 12 technicians all doing pre-delivery. We'd just take all of the stuff from all of the cars and just cram it into one car. So it was like some sort of Guinness World Record attempt. You can't even get in the driver's seat, just so the valet bay had a problem getting it out.
So, I see. Yeah. The inside of what goes on in a garage.
Service
center, man. It's just a lot of fun.
Yeah, good stuff.
Turn signal. We got a turn signal question, and I'm trying to think if I've ever had this happen. But the turn signal won't stick. So this is kind of a modern. This is a first world issue because it hasn't been that long in cars. I mean, 20 years, maybe 25 years. But there was a time when
you had to hold it.
You had to hold it.
There was a time you had to put your arm out the window as well.
That too. hey, and I'm not that old, but I remember when I learned to drive, and I don't know if they still do it. Hand signals were part of that. You had to know what the hand signals were.
I worked on a car with the flags.
Okay.
The A-pillar.
Wow.
There's a red flag on the A-pillar, yeah.
I remember one of our first cars, my parents had a Dodge Monaco, a big, nice boat. It didn't have passenger side mirror. It only had rear view mirror and driver's side.
Yeah.
There was no mirror on the passenger side door.
They were the best. They were just the driver's side, the driver's seatbelt, none of the passengers.
I don't think I don't think the seatbelts were optional in that vehicle. Yeah. But I thought, what do you mean? You want both mirrors? That's another option. You got to buy into that. Yeah. I'm thinking, what?
Yeah. Yeah.
But at the same time, that was probably a vehicle where you had to keep your hand on the signal. Mm. So if you're turning right, well, keep the signal down. Turn left, keep the signal down. And so we get really used to it now, and is it a big issue if it's not?
It's normally just the stalk, so it's normally just the switch for the signal, because the mechanical spring that's loaded as you turn the steering wheel.
But you got to take off the steering wheel and replace that.
Not always.
Oh, okay.
Not always. Sometimes some of the stuff comes as if the wiper and the signal, one is left and one is right, come together. So then you've got to take the steering wheel off, but not always.
Oh man! So it could be very costly or very easy.
It's normally going to be costly. Depends on the car. It depends on the car. It depends. It's not. I mean, sometimes your signal.
100 dirhams?
No. No. And if you want one, actually that 85 SL, I've got one to fit.
Yeah.
There's one in the back.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't work.
Of course not.
And that wasn't 100 dirhams.
So. Forget just the price of the part. It's got to be installed. I'm thinking.
Oh yeah. Well, 100 dirhams will get you It'll get you 40 minutes labor at our place.
40 minutes labor. There we go. 100 dirhams. 40 minutes labor.
Probably 30 minutes at most places. All maybe right. 20.
And it's going to take how many minutes to install this? Like 3 hours?
It's going to take an hour and a half.
Yeah. There we go.
Yeah. So you're out.
It's like, again,
we can take the old one off for 100 dirhams.
Yeah, there we go.
We'll take the old one off for you.
A hundy gets it off. Yeah. Then I've got my hand out the window. We've got
we'll buy you some gloves so you don't get sunburned.
Can you imagine?
Yeah.
Like, oh man. I mean, and sometimes when you take stuff off the steering wheel and you start looking at the clock springs and stuff in there, it's all plastic.
Yeah.
I see these. It's plastic. Of course it's going to break.
Oh yeah.
Why is it not aluminum or something? Like really?
Yeah.
Who designed this?
The first thing to do whenever you've got the steering wheel off, and if you take the clock spring or the slip ring, whatever one you want to call it, definitely you need to get that with a cable tie or some tape stuck so it doesn't move.
Oh man, yeah, because you'll never get it back.
Well, if you turn it one turn either way, so it will then go back on, but then you try and do a full lock.
Yeah,
that same direction, you'll snap it.
There you go.
And nothing works.
That's nice. Yeah, and it sounds like you're talking from experience.
It's happened to me.
Yeah.
I've taken a Range Rover steering column out, left it on a bench upside down, and we were changing the column lock. And for whatever reason, someone's just sat there, sort of the equivalent of doodling on a notepad while you're on the phone.
Yeah.
And they've just sort of been turning the column around because it's a weird thing to see the column move and the wheels, or whatever they thought.
Yeah.
Then I put the column back in, reprogrammed everything, put it in.
Doesn't work.
Started it, great. Reversed out. Click. That was weird. Maybe I'd not clicked something in properly. Okay, let's go. No signal. I know what's happened here. Press the horn, no horn. None of the controls on the steering wheel work. Excellent.
Yeah, it's like...
Yeah. So thanks for that, guys. Of course, nobody knew who'd done it.
Of course. Everyone knows who did it, but they don't want to admit they did it. It's like, wasn't me. Wasn't me. Didn't see anyone sitting there. Wasn't me.
Yeah. You see, we were the opposite back home. We didn't used to do that. It wasn't me. We were always, I'm Spartacus.
Yeah.
That was me. That was me. That was me. Everyone just, that was me. There was a couple of really bad ones that, no, we don't know. But no, it was always, no, it was me.
Yeah. Admit to it.
Yeah.
Buy into it. Let people know.
Biggest amount of trouble I ever got into was for something I didn't necessarily do.
Really?
And I just thought, well, no, we'll all say we did it. I was the first one to say we did it.
Yeah.
And, but no, it's just camaraderie, isn't it, in a workshop?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, Glenn, we're going to have to cut the show a little bit short. Next time around, want to talk about oils again because it's coming back around. People are asking a lot of questions. And I said this to the guy, the We Will Fix It boys. I said, just by virtue that I hang out with them, everyone thinks I know how to fix stuff around the home. And they're, I had a colleague come in and tell me that, I'm getting this weird smell through my ventilation system. Any idea what's going on there? And it's like, I know how you can find out. 800 fix.
Yeah.
And by likewise, they know I'm hanging around with you. And it's like, oh, what do you think this is? Do I really need this synthetic oil? And I said, well, when I get my oil changed on my car, the guys know how I drive and they put the synthetic oil in because it's not a question.
You know what? There's actually some really good, you have to be careful here, because you need to have a certain level of understanding before you pay too much attention to it. But there are some really good videos on YouTube.
Well, you know what? Let's pick up this conversation next week. We're going to talk about oils. We're going to talk about additives. We're going to talk fuel additives. Yeah. We're going to talk transmission additives. We're going to talk about all the liquids going into these vehicles and more. And of course, we've still got questions that we're going to get to as well. And it's always great to have Glenn, Sand Dance Tyre, in the hot seat.
Better just say 5th of March, happy anniversary to my lovely wife.
Hey, there we go. There we go. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Happy anniversary. Yeah. Excellent. Talk to you again real soon.
Great.
You've been listening to the Car Clinic, a Podaholics podcast with Glenn Power from Sand Dance Tyre and myself, James. Got a question? Fire it through to us on the email podaholics@gmail.com or hit us up on Twitter and Instagram, Podaholics. That's with a K. Thank you very much for listening. Share the link. So long for now.